No, hold on. I'm just kidding.
Can't do it no more.
I just dropped my
I
phone.
was already waiting for the. I gotta watch my mouth.
Yeah,
I was already waiting for the
settle
intro
down,
to
Spark.
start, and then
Settle down, spark plug.
Mm-hmm.
all right, here we go. We ready?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast with your host Joey with Steel Blade Woodworks, Matt with Wacky Works Workshop, Jen with Jen's Turns, Jamie with JP Woodwork, and Jake with Northside Custom Crafts. Welcome to Creative Makers Podcast, episode 44. And today we have Jef and Jess, Two Moose Design, on the show. How y'all doing, guys?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us for about an hour. And we usually just start off and just give us a background on how y'all got started.
Oh, man. Like, I've told this story so many times, it just kind of like all jumbles together in my head.
Well, like
that's how we process things. So it's all good.
Exactly.
You do fine.
So we were kind of both just sick of the day job life. We just always kind of had that like self-employed kind of mindset, and just when you're doing that, have that mindset working for somebody else, it's just extremely frustrating because you don't really ever get that kind of like hard work kickback. I mean, maybe sometimes, but most of the time not. And then we were currently working on our house, and our sister-in-law wanted a couple like shelves and simple stuff, and then she said she got them on Etsy, and that's how we figured out what Etsy was, and we listed some stuff on there, and stuff just started going crazy. It was just like we didn't have a whole lot of tools then, so it was just a lot of like the black pipe and the pine and just stuff you could slap together. You didn't really need a planer, just go to Home Depot, buy some lumber that's not dry enough, and
not square,
just screw the black pipes together and call her good.
It's called Crooked Deco.
We didn't know anything about like shipping or any of that stuff, so like the whole thing was just pretty much.
I knew a little bit. He didn't know anything.
Yeah. One of our first orders went to Germany, and this thing exploded.
Okay, yeah, we shipped way too much, way too early, or like too large of items.
Yeah, this will be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
famous last words.
They're doing it on
And
YouTube.
then it just snowballed, and we just put everything into it. She quit 6 months in. I quit about a year in, and yeah. And then somewhere along the line, we started doing content.
Yeah. And then the addiction started, right?
Oh yeah.
Kind of like, yep.
Just
Hey,
snowball.
so for people at home, thank you guys for coming on with us. For people at home, my name is Jake Thompson from Northside Custom Crafts. I usually do an icebreaker. My icebreaker for y'all is, your name is Two Moose Design. How come there's two moose and only one design?
So before we met, we both each had a dog named Moose. And then like I was texting her, I'm like, oh yeah, Moose this, Moose that, and she's like, how does your creepy ass know I have a dog named Moose? And I was like, no, like I have a dog named Moose. So it was kind of like a play on that, and it worked out pretty good.
Stalker.
She had no idea.
If you're asking the reason for design and not designs, it's just because somebody else had it. That's
There you
it.
go.
He's been saying Two Moose Designs the whole entire
I'm
time.
like-
so-
Yeah.
Two Moose. I did the story earlier, and I'm like, Two Moose Design. I had to say designs.
The designs with an S will still go to our website, but if you email us at twomoosedesigns@gmail, it won't go to us.
So a
That
bunch
goes
of
somewhere
people
else.
were saying like, oh, Two Moose Designs, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh no, it's just the N. So I ended up buying that URL and redirected it to our website. We still can't buy the email. We tried. And,
The lady doesn't.
yeah, we tried to
she's not
contact her
active,
and
so.
get that. That didn't work.
It took a while for me too, just like when you finally come up with your brand name or whatever, you literally got to go in there and just start searching that stuff. And if it's available, buy it up. I mean, like
You have
all
to.
the .coms or whatever you think. I mean, I don't even use some of them, but they're paid for because if I
Right.
do need them,
Well, it's like,
they're
it's
there.
like 15
You have
bucks.
it.
It's not
Yeah.
nothing crazy.
yeah, because that's the worst thing is when you come up with your name and then it's not available. Or on one, I had to go into it was like I had to submit a bid like back in the day, I remember going on to GoDaddy and it was available, but the one I wanted, it wasn't. It was available, but it wasn't. You had to
Yeah,
put
I
a
know.
bid.
I
You
know what
pay
you're saying.
somebody to help you get it.
How much did it
Yeah.
cost you?
It ended up. I think it was like $50, so it wasn't that bad.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
horrible. Because I've heard some people pay
$50.
crazy numbers for URLs. Like people, it's
Yeah.
like a thing now. People will go like pirate them and just buy a bunch of things they might think will be popular. Then they try to sell them for like $3,000 or something crazy.
Yeah, because I know a guy that does the
Changed my
same
name.
thing. It was a mate. He was like telling me, we were on a private chat somewhere, I don't know, but he had like over 200 of them.
Wow.
And I was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, if they ever want this specific one, then I'll get to
He's
sell
a
it."
man with a vision.
I'm like,
Yeah.
He's an
Wow.
opportunist.
It's an investment.
Yeah, hate to have to pay that bill every year
A
because
long
I mean it
time.
all varies, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy. I wouldn't even have thought of that until this guy was like, "Yeah, like they'll come up with certain things, and it's like they go in there and they buy it right away." And I'm like, "Really? That's like a thing? I had no idea, you know." But once you think about it, it's like, yeah,
Yeah. Someone's gonna try to steal it or get a piece
Yeah.
of the pie.
yep,
Well, everybody, my name is Matt with Wacky Works. I've been following you guys for a while. The whole CNC thing, Onefinity. I started following you major when I got mine, and I've been trying to do inlays.
You don't have to suck up; they're already here.
Hey, but one of the things I know is inlays. You just kill it in inlays, and I'm just curious. Is it like, did you go through the same pains that I'm going through? Because I do inlays and I stop because I can't get them to fit, so they get resin casted. Is there some kind of specifics that you just came up with, or how is all the whole inlay game?
So they're
There
super
we go.
hard. Like if they were easy, you'd see way more people doing them. And I was fortunate enough I reached out to Browenwood. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up.
Yeah.
He's the wizard and the best out there at them.
That's
But
same
he
way.
actually taught me. I did a couple little crappy ones right away, and then I was just able to sweet talk him. I don't know how I did it, but he ended up showing me. He walked me through how to do one, and then I kind of like took it off from there and kind of like did my own twist to it. But he helps me out with questions and stuff. He actually has a course now, if that's something you're interested in. But they're so hard, and like people will ask me like, so like, what are your offsets in Vectric? And like, that's just not a question I can answer. And if someone gives you exact offsets, they haven't been doing it long enough to understand what's actually going on. So I took the exact same, I use a tapered ball nose. And the only reason I use a tapered ball nose over a V-bit is it's just more durable. But it's also harder to program the tapered ball nose because it has that round tip instead of that super fine tip.
Yeah.
And I'll take that same exact bit and put it on my one Onefinity and put the same exact bit in the other Onefinity and all different offsets. So I start at like 0.1 and 0.2, and then every time I get a new CNC bit or that one wears out, I have to find new offsets. So it's hard to explain when people ask, like, oh, like, how do I do it? Like, you kind of got to like, I mean, once you understand how to like adjust those fitments, it's not as bad. But even past that, there's just so many nuances with just like the line thicknesses and the points, and they're a lot.
yeah. It's one of those things where you got to just it's going to change. Yeah,
And
that's just
experience. Yeah, a lot of experience as well. It
Yeah, I'm
seems
still learning them.
yeah. That CNC is that's a pretty tough one. I still have issues. It's like when you go from a CO2 laser to a CNC. Now designing in CNC, you got to wrap your head around, you have an actual kerf now, which you do on a laser, but it's very minute versus that.
So,
and then
yeah.
knowing, go ahead.
The first time I actually had to deal with the kerf on the laser was when I was trying to make these. There's this website called like MakerBox or something, but it generates like finger joint boxes, and you cut them out, and you actually have to account for the kerf of the laser for them to fit tightly together.
Really?
I
Wow.
don't know what that website's called, but you can find it. You just like generate how thick your stuff is, and it just craps out the vector.
Really? According that, so it'll do you have to actually measure, or does it just by the thickness of your material it calculates the curve, or how does that?
I guessed because I just generated the box I needed, and then I'm like, oh, it's too tight, so I like lowered it a little bit, or like made the curve a little bigger, and then just did like one side until it fits snug, and then I just cut out the whole box. I'm sure you could like, I don't know, Google it or something.
He said search bar. That's what he said.
Hey, that's the best way, just trial and error, right? I mean, it's just that's how I've done a lot of stuff, especially like when I did leather on there the first time. I don't know how many pieces I went through before I got the correct setting, and then you think you have it, and then you go to a whole nother piece of leather and it's
different. Like
different.
what?
Like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
And what's funny is you normally like you mess up and you figure out how to do it and you get your way to do it, and then you find something that says how to do it, and it's exactly how you figured out how to do it just by messing up.
Oh,
It happens all the time.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
The 12th time.
12 times the charm. Whoever does it in 3's lying.
Yeah, they're lying. They ain't trying.
Well, thank you once again for joining us. I'm Jamie from JP Woodwork. So I'm curious, out of the two of you, who gets the honour of doing all of the sanding?
Me. For a while she did, but then she ended up graduating to answering
Graduated out of
emails.
the shop. Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah, she goes, I'm really good on the typewriter, so you're done.
You should let me answer some emails.
I know what 8 keys to rest my fingers on. You don't.
So doing the whole content creation, y'all, how do y'all divide y'all's time up, like trying to, who does the editing, how do y'all take care of that? Because y'all have multiple platforms. I was being nosy, of course, when I was putting all y'all's description in, and I'm like, these guys are really, really busy. So y'all have a lot going on. How do y'all balance that and then still, have your normal life per se?
So we just recently started doing mainly content. Like this week was like our last week finishing up our orders. We took everything off of Etsy except like our plans and all that. So before that, she was doing all the back end, like the website, the emails, shipping, like finding people's lost orders and all that. And I do the filming and the editing. So now that she's gonna have more like free time, I'm gonna start like incorporating her more into it, because it was just hard because she was always so like locked down in the house, figuring out where someone's package is, or
Stupid.
answering
Mundane stuff. Yeah, the really fun things.
Can you make the walnut
Stupid.
darker?
Anything to get out of
Can
sanding,
you paint
though,
it black?
Right.
I got stuff I got to do. No.
Yeah, can you make walnut darker? Every time there's something like that. I was at a flea market one time and a guy comes up and goes, I want a cutting board just like that, but I want it this big and I want it a little bit lighter than this, but turn in this color. I said, it's a tree, right? Like,
I don't grow them.
Yeah. So he got fired. He got fired.
Yeah, I find it real hard, because it's like, having a regular job and then trying to balance that and create videos or whatever and put that out. It's tough, trying to do Instagram, YouTube. I just go to TikTok to laugh now, and Facebook, because really it's like that's the only thing I get out of that is just I have some good laughs off of that platform. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough
very
thing
hard
to handle. Yeah.
So that brings me into my question is like, you guys are going to start doing, you're already doing content full time, but now that it's full time, do you have like a posting schedule on each platform that you want to stick to, or is it just whatever comes up, you get it done, or quality over
Not
quantity, or what's your plan on
Yeah. So for now
in the
on,
process.
it's always a process. So for now on YouTube, YouTube's king. If you want to make money in content, you gotta grind out YouTube. But the problem with YouTube is it's just so much harder. Like I can go in the shop and like 3D print something, or CNC something and make an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
I could probably do a couple in a day. Versus a YouTube video, it's gonna take me at least most of that week to make that YouTube video. So now it's kind of trying to find that balance. And also a different thing I've been dealing with too is it's kind of always been what I've been working on for content. Now it's a different game when I have to like come up with ideas and plan it ahead of time. So it's just kind of like getting that different mindset. But for now, we're just shooting for 2 videos a month. That's going to be the goal for YouTube. And then, I don't know, Instagram, I try to post daily, but lately, if I can get 4 or 5 posts a week, I'm happy. And then I just cross-post all those across the other platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
And where your bread and butter is actually YouTube, because I don't know if y'all are making money on Instagram. I haven't heard of anybody anymore, but at least it promotes you, maybe gets your eyes around some sponsors or whatnot, but yeah, YouTube, I think, is a real big focus. And I hear people saying Facebook too, Facebook is pretty good. I haven't had that good of luck on Facebook, but I was reloading thumbnails on YouTube while we were waiting before this started. So I redid a bunch of thumbnails on videos. It just went completely dead. I was like, let's see if it'll stoke them, if it'll get some views again, So
it's trying to keep up with one a week YouTube video is it's super rough. So
it really depends on your content, because like if you're making like, let's say like Cam from Blacktail Studios, there's no way that guy could pump out a table a week and edit and do all that. I mean, he has help now, but it's just large furniture like that. That's brutal.
Yeah, there's a way, just the curing time and everything in the process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even smaller stuff, you're doing a project, it takes 3 times as long to film it. And then you're going to take, I don't know how fast you edit, but I'm not that fast. So that's another day of editing and getting it up there right and everything. So there's 2 days in the week, and you have a life too. So, and it's hard to, even that's with a small project. So if you have something that takes a few days to do, you're just, it's unrealistic most of the time just to have one video a week. And, but you'll see people with, 20 videos and 100,000 subscribers. So they didn't do it once a week.
Yeah. Those guys are animals.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it either, but, it's clear to people if you're getting a video out every week, because the quality is not going to be as good and it's going to seem rushed, I think.
Yeah, too. And you got to be making enough money to afford a team, because if you got a film guy and an editor or vice whatever, like it's expensive. Like, you get someone to edit your video, like $500 a video is cheap. If you can find someone to do it for that, you're in business.
And you're not guaranteed that video is going to make that much money at all.
Exactly.
Like at all. So it's
So do y'all guys script y'all stuff? Do y'all have like some sort of a format so like angles and all that, or do you just go at it?
I can't. Just the way my brain works. Like I've tried to like write out a script. So essentially what I'll do is like, okay, I'm doing a video next week, and I'll open a note section in my phone, and I'll write out like segments and like points I want to hit on.
Outline.
Yeah. And then I'll essentially just, wing it. And then I do need to be more organized though, because now that I'm like doing more of it, like I'm like, crap, now I got to go reshoot that tomorrow, because like I just didn't like the way I sounded or how I said it, or like, the camera wasn't bright enough, or, XYZ. So it's just, you just have to do it a bunch to get streamlined and good at it, or make a bunch of money and pay someone that's better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that scripting stuff too. You guys got a burglar or what?
Get him, Manny.
So if you're scripting stuff, and I don't know if I try to do that, it totally sounds like I'm reading a script.
That's my problem.
It's rough. It is rough to do. I've only done it once, and so I do basically the same thing. Put bullet points or like just the hot spots that you want to hit, and then go, because it's not you if it's not. And then if you're doing the Chat GPT or whatever, it's really not you.
You got to learn how to talk to her. I don't know why, but she's a lady. But you got to sound less formal, and she usually pops out a better script that doesn't sound like a robot.
Let's slap this thing together.
I need to try that.
Yeah, for real though. Like if she writes something, I just call her she. I don't know. But if she writes something and just
It's serious.
tell her to sound a different tone, and it helps drastically.
Just
Because
gotta
I'll
tell
Really?
her what you want.
yeah, you gotta like coax her in there. But I use it for like descriptions. People use it for like Etsy listings and stuff now. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
There's also like an AI that'll like so if you're reading a script, it'll change your eyes. You don't blink, but it changes your eyes so it doesn't look like you're looking at the
That's
script.
creepy.
It makes you look like you're looking at the camera.
Yeah.
There you go, Jake.
Ooh.
Dude, that's my
Hey, that's gonna be
most-
trouble with me.
Yeah.
I got a lazy eye, so it's gonna make them go the other way. It'll be like a gecko.
That's the problem. Like on my camera, I moved because I have a monitor to make sure that I'm in frame. Because I'm a large guy, Sometimes I'm like too close, I got to back up. But no, I end up looking at that dang monitor instead of the lens, and I'm like, you can totally tell when you go to edit, and you're like, ah. So it's like you're looking down, and I've tried to change positions to try to get that thing, and it's like finally I started putting a note on the camera. Look at the
lens.
Eye contact.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
So you're using VCar Pro on your CNC, and I'm sure
Yep.
you're using Lightburn on your laser. And
Yep.
I don't know what you're using on your 3D print, but I mean, you have basically three different softwares that you're probably using.
I have
What are
so
the pros
many.
and what are the pros and cons? Which ones are you using? What are the pros and cons of each one?
So for 3D design, I use Shaper 3D. For drawing, like if you see my CNC projects, I draw all that in Adobe Illustrator. I'm just comfortable with Adobe because it's like a professional, like what's the word I'm looking for?
Design.
Yeah, it's like a professional design software. So it's way more streamlined than trying to do it all in like VCarve Pro. But a lot of people do it. Like Nick from Brownwood edits all his stuff in there. It's just easier for me to do it out there and export it out. And then VCarve Pro is great. I don't even know why. You really don't even need Aspire. I mean, it's nice if you want to do the rotary, and I think you can make you can turn like photos into 3D kind of stuff. But I don't know. I do all my stuff in VCarve Pro. You can do 3D carving in there and everything. And then Lightburn's great. I have a fiber laser that has
EasyCAD 3.
EasyCAD 3. It's horrible. Worst software ever. Absolutely hate it. But you have to use that software with that laser though. But it sucks. It's like from Windows 99 or something. It's just not good.
Yeah, that would
pretty
be
good.
bad.
Lightburn all the way.
Fiber. What? You have a fiber laser? You said?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does.
What is it? What is?
It's the Thunder Laser Aurora 9 Pro, or it's a 50-watt fiber laser.
Nice.
Pretty short name too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I seen him do some name tags not too long ago from Belunke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blake.
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 We just did a podcast with him not too long ago. So
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Matt's just mentioned your CNC 3D printer and your laser beams. Do you have a favorite machine to use?
Probably the CNC. I'm really loving the 3D printers lately, though. I kind of just love anything automation at this point in my life.
Makes it easier.
yeah,
Makes
push
it
a button and
easier.
go.
Fair enough.
Oh, it's not woodworking.
Not at all. It's simple.
Don't even get started with that.
Oh,
Don't even get started.
all the work that you got into designing the whole entire thing at the beginning, people don't get that.
Just push a button.
There's a lot of, yeah,
All
just
you're
push
doing
a
is
button.
pushing
It's
the
just
button,
it comes
yeah.
up. Yeah.
No skill.
Yeah.
Hashtag no.
No skill
Also, I
required.
started using that one.
So I'm going to go back to Etsy. I want to know your thoughts because we all Jake, I, and Jen and Matt do it, and I want to know your thoughts now more that you're doing digital files now, so it's a little easier just doing that. I would think, but
yeah.
when you were
Still
selling
frustrating.
stuff, yeah, there we go. How
Want to talk about it?
how do you like it, or what are your dislikes?
It's going downhill for sure.
So, like, yeah, when we started, Etsy was such a different game. It was handmade items, and then they essentially went to be a publicly traded company, and you can go buy it on the stock market. And then ever since then, it's just been about the top dollar. They let all those crap Temu products in there and all this other stuff and it just affects the whole handmade market because people think Etsy's handmade. And when you go and order something off Etsy and you get this little piece of trash, that's not even what it looked like on the thing. And people are going to assume it's just all junk. I mean, a lot of it is, but it's just worse now that it's just, they let all them other vendors in there that just shouldn't be there.
Right.
And then their rates have been going up, and then
With the free shipping
They
change
just-
they made, and what else?
over the last
They
couple years, they've been really digging a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And now they're
going
going to start charging to open a shop.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Oh, I haven't heard that
No,
one.
I haven't heard
Yeah.
that one yet.
Heard it here,
it's like
folks.
it's like $15 or
15
something.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
So
Which is-
we're all going to have to pay that, or are we going to get grandfathered? Or just
Oh no, I'm pretty
I
sure
would
you're
assume you'd get
fine
grandfathered
if you already
in,
have a shop.
Oh, okay.
No
Yeah, I
promises.
haven't heard that one. They keep popping up with different things, and I get emails here and there, but it's frustrating though when you go and you search your item, and then right below they have other people's similar items.
That's what sucks.
For half price.
know, and it's
We'll
like-
recommend Etsy right away just because it's just the barrier to entry is so much easier than starting a website, learning how to spend money on ads, which is its own like skill, and it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So like Etsy's good for starting out, but I would definitely, as of now, we used to recommend Etsy over the website, but as of now, I would definitely
start both. If you
I would
can.
start both and find someone to help you with ads. Ads are very difficult, and that's the advantage of Etsy is they do the ads for you. You just kind of throw money at it.
Yeah, we were having that discussion
Oh.
before we started. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Jake.
That's
You
why
probably
I've had my website for a few years now, and I can search more for my old stuff on Google and can't find it. So it's like it's super hard to get. Like, luckily, there's a little bit of social media presence, and you can send people there or whatever. But
Google
as far
AdWords.
as once your regular crowd buys all your stuff, then there's no one to buy anything else because no one can find your thing. So I ended up making an Etsy on the other side of that so that there's some kind of traffic.
Otherwise-
You just up the prices, and that way it covers the fees, and you're going to do
Got it.
free shipping. So you just up the prices, and then luckily I made a sale in the first week, and it was a good one. But it's one of those, is it worth it in the long run or whatever? It's hard when you're doing both, and one is not working. And I've spent a considerable amount of money on professional come in and make sure the SEO's right, make sure it's set up right, and do all that stuff. And then I still have the same amount of traffic that I did before.
Are you
I
paying for
hired somebody.
ads?
No.
You need to pay for ads. Because
I
like
need to
even if
stop-
your SEO is good and you're ranking decently, like you just got to pay for ads. Because like if I'm just selling, I mean we don't anymore just because I'm focusing on content. But you gotta, if you're not getting the eyeballs, you gotta essentially pay for the eyeballs, and then eventually over time it's gonna, flip to where you're not gonna have to. You're gonna get that organic traffic. But I would look into paying someone or you can learn how to do it yourself. It's just a lot of work. But Facebook is great and the Google ads is great, but you got to know where to send the money or you're literally just burning money.
Yeah. And
You need
and
to
they
figure
also-
out who your audience is or pay someone to help you figure out who that would be.
And they also say write a blog, and that'll help.
I mean, yes, that helps with SEO, but what's your goal?
Not writing blogs,
Yeah,
That's
it's not
what I'm
for
saying.
everybody. Yeah.
not doing that. I know what it's not.
Check
Yeah, we'll
not
try
that
that
one.
too.
Not that one.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it just
Would
The-
it be
the whole
beneficial?
Etsy-
Sure.
the whole Etsy thing is just it's just like a way to, you hear success stories all the time, so it's like, why not try it? And so I guess if somebody was like, for myself, what advice would you give me on my first week on Etsy? What would you tell me to do to make it more successful?
Get a variety of stuff. Even like when we were super successful, it's a wave. Like trays are going to sell this month, and then trays are going to slow down in like the summer, but clocks will still be up. And it's just, you got to have multiple items that are going to like, carry you through the year. And like, you're just going to have slower times, but I lost the train of thought.
We found, I think, as we've started taking things off, that having the wider variety of items actually sold other things as well, because they come to your site looking for something and then they find other things, whether or
Something
not they
shiny.
bought the first thing. But yeah,
So I would keep, right away, what we did was we just kept adding stuff. until stuff started selling, and maybe 2 out of 10 of those items would stick. And then as I'm continuing to come out with stuff, I'm getting rid of the crappy ones, the stuff that's just not as fun to make. But
Or it requires different size boxes or different
you don't think of that right away either.
like small goods that you need to keep on hand.
Next thing you know, your garage is full of boxes and bubble that half of it you don't use.
I got
shelves.
closet. I got
Shelves
closet.
full of boxes, and they're all labeled, and they're all, in the shipping thing, they're all labeled the right box for the right thing or whatever. It's like it's an ordeal.
That's
Once
a
you
whole
get it
Sales
figured
and
out,
reviews.
yeah.
That should be your focus right away. And if you're gonna have to sell stuff probably cheap right away. Like some people are good at just getting what they're worth right away, but my goal would just to be to get some good reviews in there, 4 or 5 good reviews, and then because someone's gonna buy from someone like me that has thousands of sales and good reviews, than seeing a shop with no reviews and no sales. So getting someone to bite them first couple times is pretty important and key. And make your shop look nice. Like you can't just put 2 items on there and think it's just gonna sell. It's a lot of work. You got to keep them items coming. You got to keep your page looking fresh. Take at least decent looking photos, and also play the SEO game pretty hard. Because if you're not on those first 3 pages, you might as well not even be seen. So again, I would spend at least $5-10 a day on ads. It sucks, but you got to get them eyeballs on you, or no one's gonna buy it.
Yeah, because there's so many people selling it, and that when I first started, it was like I looked at like some of the items. Well, the first item that I put on there. And you look at the prices, like how in the heck are they selling it for that cheap? And then I
still don't get it.
I me neither. I have no idea when you calculate shipping costs plus all your packaging and stuff. I don't know, either they're just some massive company coming in under a name that they're okay with making 5 cents on each item, and they're able to turn a profit at the end of the year or whatever. Not me. I put it out for what I know I needed to make. And I left it there, and I've never moved it other than just running a sale. And after a while with running ads and stuff, I see, and my sales have gone up, but they fluctuate. Sometimes I don't sell anything in a week, and then all of a sudden, boom, you'll get all these orders in there, and you're doing good. But it is a racket on there. I tell you that.
A lot of them companies you see that are super cheap are either people that just don't know what they're doing and they don't really realize they're making pennies on the dollar, and at the end of the day, they don't even know they're breaking even, if they even are. And then the other people are people in like India that are having people work for pennies that can. It says where you're from, but some people will also like drop ship it to America and make it sound like it's coming from New York, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's just some mass-produced thing overseas. And that you just got to be unique. You got to if you're making cutting boards, you can't just make a basic cutting board. You got to find some way with different sizes or different wood types. There's got to be some differentiating feature between you and other people.
Here we go. Let's get to a couple questions from the chat. This one's from my mother.
No.
She says, how big of a project have you all made and how small?
Oh, I've made book buddies. You ever see them little book thumb holders that hold open the book? I've carved those in the CNC. That's probably the smallest thing we've made. The biggest thing we've made?
I mean, you made 60-inch round table.
Those clocks.
Yeah.
A lot of the big clocks. We did a giant island once that was a 70, 80-inch long slab by like 54 inches wide. It was like
big.
Like a
maple.
It was like an island. It was a kitchen island. That's what it was. I thought that was pretty big. We did like some cabinet stuff. Nothing like we never done like a full, restaurant or nothing crazy like that. That's just not me. I just don't want to. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to make money, do built-ins, but man, they're tough.
We've never done installation. Don't want to deal with the insurance and all that.
Connie wants to know, how do I convince my son to 3D print me a giant Lego man?
Buy him some cookies or something. Take him out to dinner. What you do is you buy him a couple rolls of filament and bribe him.
There you go.
Well, if you're gonna do that, make sure you put your moose antlers on the thing, because that's what's got to end up having.
And we got
you just won't let that go, will you?
No.
Tim out there wants to know, you want a caravan to Maker Camp? I don't know if y'all are going or not, or
we're thinking about it. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm thinking. We didn't go to Workbench Con this year, so might need to get my Maker fix and go check out the Maker Camp. We haven't went yet. Usually, because 2 in 1 year is a lot. It's just a lot to, get everything under control and leave for a week.
It's hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got my vacation. It's going to be my first time, so I'm going to I'm gonna be traveling from South Texas all the way up there and go rub elbows with those New Yorkers. See what it's
You're
all
driving?
about. Yep.
Oh
My
wow.
wife and I are probably gonna take a RV up there. So that's what we're planning. We haven't completely committed to that yet. We might just get an Airbnb when we get up there. But
You can rent RVs there too. Like
Yeah,
someone will come drop it off and you can stay in it. That's some people seem to be doing that.
yeah, we haven't really figured out. Well, we've got that option on the table as well. We just don't know exactly. It's so far off right now. All I know is I set my vacation around that weekend, so we're gonna take about a 2-week
You'll
little
love it.
rendezvous up that way and back. So finally get to see some trees because we don't have trees down here.
Yeah, there ain't no trees.
Come on. How do you woodwork?
There's fires. There's fires right here. My
There
whole-
was trees.
There was.
This whole top of Texas is gone. It like stopped right before my town.
Why? Has it just been
Fire.
dry? Like what caused that?
It's always dry here, but the wind's blowing, and it's just one of those things. I
You
think
come
it's
out of
supposed to-
Oklahoma, you literally come out of Oklahoma and there's like no trees. It just
Yeah.
you look around and go, somebody clear cut here?
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
a
look,
fire.
it was
like 220,000 acres yesterday when it started.
Wow.
And then it just
Yeah.
it's
That's
our
insane.
prayers are out for those people right now. It's pretty bad
For
up there
sure.
for 'em.
Yeah, I left my shop last night, and it was a bunch of smoke. Just smelled like a campfire.
Ooh.
Bad.
And I was like,
Bad,
"Hey,
bad.
there's a fire. Where's the fire at?" And I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention too much. Too
Six-
good.
It was like 60-mile-an-hour winds and stuff, so that didn't help it at all. I mean,
Yeah.
those poor guys there's no stopping that when it's
Yeah,
on
so
dry
you can't do a
grass
whole
like
lot
that.
of it.
Yeah, just get out of the way. I don't know who's
So-
up. Is it Matt?
Me. So speaking of Workbench Con, today is the day when everybody's meeting up here in Atlanta. I'm in Georgia. So tell me your pros and cons. Yeah, I got trees. Yeah, shut up.
I got trees.
Burn
So,
it down.
Tell me about the pros and cons of going to Workbench Con.
Cons, it's expensive. For us to go, you're spending, for two of us with flights and everything, you're spending for sure $2,000. By the time you add in like Ubers, food, drinks, the hotel room, tickets are like $500 now.
Oh,
It's expensive. But if you want to, like, so the caveat is you kind of got to want to do content creation. Unless you're just going to see and meet people, that's, on you. But to really take something away from it, you got to want to be interested in content creation. And I would say that's great for the first 2 years. But then after that, it's, at this point, we more so just go to like hang out, meet everyone, hang out with our other maker friends. But them first 2 years are super powerful. That first year we went, so we were doing our whole like woodworking thing in our basement, and then I eventually got brave enough to show my face on there and start like, I'm working on this, I'm doing this, and then more woodworkers started following me than people that wanted to buy my products, and I was like, whoa, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then someone's like, hey, you got to go to Workbench Con. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what that is. So we went to Workbench Con. I'm like, holy man, you can make money doing this? Like my mind was just blowing for like that 2-month stretch, and then. Yeah, so I mean, if it wasn't for Workbench Con, honestly, I don't know if we would have found this whole rabbit hole of content creation.
It's a good way to make connections with businesses and other people that are doing similar.
That too,
work.
even
So it's
like now that we are like established, networking's key to like everything. Like you could go meet a guy like Blake and be like, hey man, I'm starting work really hard on YouTube and I would love to collab, and like even something like that could just propel you so far, even though like you didn't learn anything from Workbench Con, them couple connections you could make could be a game changer. Or brands. I mean, you could meet a brand that is willing to pay you, X of thousands of dollars a year to promote them.
yeah. Hashtag Blake's awesome, by the way.
Blake's awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky.
There you go.
Blake.
All right. So you obviously make some rather large stuff as well as other size stuff. So how do you deal with packing the custom size orders? Do you make your own boxes? Do you order them in? What do you do?
Let me translate that for you. He's asking you about shipping.
we do some of
Something like
both.
So right away we learned pretty quick that. So right away we just made products, and then after that we made products to fit available boxes, because it's very hard to get custom. What did we pay for So we got to
pallet
get
of
like
boxes.
500 boxes or 100.
No, I think it was 200 boxes, and it was at least $1,000.
It's custom boxes are expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, we figured that out pretty quick. So we made 99% of our stuff around box sizes. So all of our tray sizes were made not to fit ottomans, but to fit the box that was available for me to buy. And then for large stuff, you just make crates. For like tables and stuff, you just go buy some 2x2s from Home Depot and slap some OSB on there and call her good.
There you go. All right. So for each of you, what's the go-to tool that y'all most like to use in the shop?
What do you probably the laser? She uses the laser a lot. I'd say I use the CNC a lot.
What laser do you have? Do you have what CO? Well, I know you obviously you got a fiber laser, but do y'all run a CO2? Is it a oh my god, my mind went blank.
100.
Yeah, we have a 100-watt Laguna MX.
Laguna.
Nice.
Did you get that when it first?
Expensive.
Did you get that when it first came out,
yeah.
or is it something that you just got, or because Laguna
No,
was
I
like?
think they had them out for a while.
We've had it for like 3 years now, I think. Time
Yeah.
is
Kind of all jumbles
a confusing
together.
thing. Yeah.
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 We
Do
just
you
I
wish
think
you
that's
would've
one of
gone
the first
bigger on
ones.
that? Oh, sorry.
That's one of the first ones I ever saw was the Laguna one, and then I was like, "What?" I couldn't wrap my brain around what it was even for. I mean, I have a CNC and stuff, but I was like, "Whatever. I don't need another machine." And now it's like everybody has them, and it's I see some Laguna stuff out there, but most of it's the other brand, Thunder and all those other ones out there.
They literally all look the same. I think they just all have a little bit different internals, but they're just all a different color at this point, it seems like. And like all the companies now, like X-Tool and even Crealities now is making these little desktop lasers. So I'm sure it's fine for entry level, but man, if I was trying to run a business, I would save the money and buy some sort of enclosed like CO2 type laser.
Yeah, it's going to give you the speed, the work side, the work area to be able to batch out stuff if you're doing it. I mean, like I'm currently expanding this office right now, and the only reason I went with an 80-watt because I knew trying to get it in here, I would have definitely gone with at least 100 or 150, but I knew I was limited to space in here.
They take up so much space.
Yeah, the 80-watt OhmTech I have is it's a good machine. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I've other people have had issues with them, but I think you're going to get that with anything that you buy, right? But now I'm expanding, and it's like if I would have waited, I would have gone with a lot bigger laser. It's just because you can get your materials in certain sizes, and you don't have to do a whole lot of cutting down. You can just stick that whole piece in there. Like if you're getting 4x8 sheet goods, usually you can leave them. You're just only going to have to rip one way, and then you can just stack all that up and fit them in the machine.
Yeah, ours is an awkward size.
Yeah, it is.
It's like 30 by 24 versus the Laguna EX. It's like 48 by like 36 or something, but that thing has like such a big footprint. It's insane. I don't even know how I would have fit in the shop. And it really wasn't much more expensive, but again, it was space. I'm like, I just don't know where I'm going to put this thing.
Yeah, they get pretty big. Once you start getting up to those sizes, they're insanely huge, and that's a lot of space to take up. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, so one of the videos you had was hold downs on your CNC.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know, how did you figure out to put the notches that go around the tracks? Because I've got one. I made one for mine years ago, and it was just like you hold it down flat, and then I drilled holes in it so I could put those clamps that go in the hole and just push sideways. It ended up not working that good, but at the time it was cool, and I saw yours, and I think it's pretty nice in the PVC pipes to make the 90.
I stole that from bro.
Yeah.
Is it
From Nick.
Does it ever get in the way, or do you just?
No, I love the PVC pipes are great, and if you clip them with the bit, who cares? Like, you can buy like a 4-foot chunk of PVC for like, I don't know, $8 or something. Yeah. Like, it's not very much. I've seen people use dowels. I'm a very I try to make stuff as simple as possible. Like I see some of these people with these like just these insane like waste boards with like the
Yeah.
dovetails and like I'm just like I just don't want to mess with all that.
You're
Like
just gonna tear
you
it
know,
up.
if it works
Yeah,
for
and
you,
then when you
great.
have to
But like,
resurface it and do it all over
jeez,
again.
that too. You got to
Yeah.
surface the waste board once in a while. It's just I don't know. I just like stuff simple. I use screws, double-sided tape, that little fence and like wedges and stuff, and easy as
No, I-
possible.
I was asking because I need to make a new one for mine. So I'm like, I didn't like my last one because it was overcomplicated. it looked cool though, but it didn't
I just
last.
use a couple
and it
T
was-
tracks for like jigs, but I've seen some people do like the T track like every 8 inches. That just feels excessive. And we had the X carve, and the X carve had those.
The, like dog hole. Or
They're not dog. They're like the threaded inserts.
is that
Oh yeah,
what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
every 6
Jeez.
inches or whatever it is.
Dude,
dude,
takes
I've
like
seen
8
people
hours
do
just to
that.
put
Yeah,
those
that's
all
it.
in,
And, yeah.
And then you got to flip it upside down and put it. Yeah,
and then like screwing in them little.
And you're gonna clip it. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so super critical when I got mine. I didn't even want to touch the surface board, you know,
I
or
was
the
too.
waste
We were their
board.
X carve for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I gotta make sure and mic everything. I don't want to cut into it. And you know how long that lasted? Probably about 2 times
Okay.
using it. And then
Once
all
you get
those
them
dang
first two
T-tracks-
tattoos, game over.
Oh man, it was like I don't care. Let's go a little extra
got a
because I don't want to
full
cut.
back piece.
I don't want to cut nothing off. I want
you
it to
wanna
come
deal
out
with
ready
it
to go.
afterwards.
Oh yeah. So
And,
I
like,
was
a
just
sheet
like,
of MDF is like I don't know, $40-$50. I haven't bought one in forever, but with the Foreman I
Yeah.
can get it's 4 foot by 4 foot, so I get one whole sheet. Like if I replace my wasteboard once a year, I mean that's probably even a lot. So who cares? It's a wasteboard. Make it look like crap.
and mine's fixing the need to get changed out. And I, you know, like I said, I put all these T-tracks in there, wasted all that money to make it all look all bougie and everything. And I'm like, you know what? Next time, it's freaking
Bougie.
getting a piece of MDF on there. And now I just use screws and I screw everything down. And then, you know, it's like, well, let's get a composite nail. I ain't doing none of that stuff. It's gonna get screws.
They're
to
more
hold it
expensive.
down.
I looked into those, and they're a little pricey.
Yeah,
And even
Yeah.
the composite nailers, they still leave those little like mounds when you pop it off,
Yeah.
like the screws
Yep.
do.
Yeah.
Scrape it off, you're fine.
Yeah,
I've like
just-
I've been using the same like 12 Craig screws for like
Yeah.
ever.
I got a whole little pile there on the tray by
Yeah, I
the
got
CNC. I
little
use the same
tray.
ones. That's all I do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Move on.
Yeah, just so you know, I'll probably be you helped a brother out with that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be doing that to mine. And the dowels sound good too. They'd probably be
Dowels are easy.
easier. And it,
Use
What's
the
it gonna
CNC
do?
to cut them. You know it's square because the CNC like did it in the
Yeah.
software, and
right.
Mm-hmm.
you can take them
Simple,
out.
simple.
You don't need them on there.
I like
Yeah.
the squares that you did too, because it kind of makes it so that you know that you lined everything up on the
It
back
does help.
end. Yeah,
You don't really think about it until you put some on. Like, oh wow, that is way off. I thought that was straight.
yeah.
It's just
exactly.
simple grid. You put some lines. I think mine are 2 inches. I've seen some people do like 1, but like I'm not using it to measure. I'm just using it as like a basic reference.
Correct.
With my eyes, they look like trapezoids.
Yeah, I went through the whole process of designing a vacuum table and all this crap, and then I just recently I cut it all up when I was starting to do this renovation. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that, and I'm like, yeah, just screws. That's my hold down. I'm not messing with none of that.
Yeah, I went
It
through.
takes 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I went through 3 iterations of doing it. Had G-track and everything. Did the little overhangs, and I loved it. And then I busted one out, and I was like, I'm gonna do it this way now. And I'm gonna try this way. And the last one I did was a vacuum table, and it worked great. I got it to work great, and I could section it off and make it small little pieces. And then I was like, you start getting smaller pieces, and it's like, I'm not holding.
How
that.
small though? Because I've been thinking about getting one. Like, what's small?
Well, no, I made a homemade vacuum table, so I made it so that you could run it off a shop vac.
Really?
Legitimately,
Wow.
yes,
And
and it
it held
worked.
strong enough? That's cool.
Yeah, it worked. It sucked it right
'Cause
down.
they're making way more. Like, I looked into it a couple years ago, and there really wasn't anything for the hobbyist size CNC. But
Nope.
now there's a couple guys that are making them for like $700-800. They look like pretty decent setups. But I'm just curious how.
I did mine with PVC plumbing and used a toilet drain basically on the top of it, and then I cut out 2-inch screws
Smart.
into it, and then I put in weather stripping. So weather stripping is how I made my thing as small as I can make it, and then that would just suck down my piece, and I made my thickness exactly the thickness of the weather stripping, held it right down.
How small could
did-
it hold?
I could get it down to almost 4x4.
Yeah,
but-
that's pretty small. I'm not cutting a whole
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
But
You know,
4x4,
smaller than, like, 8x8.
4x4 was like really hard to be able because you got to think you got to cut your weather stripping to fit that.
Yeah.
And so having different strips of weather stripping there, and I got like this strip and this strip, I got to pull down this strip, and it ended up becoming a lot. And then you bought them out one time. And your didn't work no more. So I forget the guy's name. He had a CNC. He had a lathe in his, and he mentioned yours and in another guy's flattening table, and I looked on yours again. And there it is, right there. There it was right there. What I wanted was that L, is what I wanted to begin with. So, yeah, that's kind of where I was at with it all. So,
Easy, stupid, simple, easy,
Yep.
or whatever they say.
you go all fancy, you got your leg up in the air, and you think you're all looking hot and everything, and then somebody points out that you got a jelly roll.
Super hot.
So,
Rude.
yeah. So out of all the CNC stuff that you've done, or any kind of things that you've done, what's the piece that you've had the biggest trouble out of?
Oh, for sure, the cutting boards.
Really?
Like, yeah.
I mean,
Even,
you make
like,
it look easy. You make it look super
Oh,
easy. So I guess it's
and,
just
like,
editing.
it upsets me that I make it look easy. Like I don't, because I get so many questions. Like I want to help people, but it's just so much. But it's like I can't.
Yeah.
But the cutting boards, the tolerances are just insane. Like even now, like I messaged Nick the other day, like I just this one little thing. I'm like why is it like this? And he's like, oh, I'll send you a video later. I'm like, all right, please. And it's just I'm still learning, and like even he's even done some crazy. So I do end grain, and the reason I do end grain is it's just the fibers go up instead of like along the board. So it's more forgiving, and you're not going to get as much chip out because the grain direction's not going an actual direction. And like he's been doing this crazy
board too. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been doing these crazy inlays on face grain, and honestly, like I'm decent at it, and I look at some of his stuff and like I just don't even get it. Like I don't know how he does it.
That last one that you did the cow, you did the pig, and then you did the moose, and you messed up on the cow, wasn't it? Didn't you have to do that one over again? No, it was the moose. You had to flip it over and do it on the other side. The elk. That's what it was. The elk.
Yep.
Yep. You had to flip it over.
I don't remember what it did. I did mess up the cow one too.
Did you leave the plug sitting and it warped or something?
Oh no, that did happen though. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like the software or if I messed up. 99% of the time, if you mess up on the CNC, it's your fault. I mean, people just don't want to admit that, but most of the time, you just messed up something. First thing I do now is like, what happened? Like, oh, I never like reversed the image, or there's always something you miss. I don't remember what happened, but one of them I couldn't get the plug to fit. But I don't know if the wood wasn't dry enough or something. But you're removing all that material from the plug, and I think it just shrunk just a little too much, and I couldn't have got that thing in there. And I messaged Nick, and he's like, oh yeah, just like you need a 20-ton press, just shove it, it'll go. I'm like, oh,
what you have. That's another thing you have, and I was curious about it. Did you get that just like is that where did you get that item from, that press that you have?
Fleet Farm.
Yeah, I got it. I don't know if you guys, Fleet Farms, it's like it's not quite a Home Depot.
Kind of like an Ace.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of like an Ace. It's
Tractor
just like
Supply? Kind of like Tractor Supply?
like an automotive shop press, and then I can weld, so I ended up I bought it, essentially took it apart and made it fit my needs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just works.
Nick has like a big I-beam with essentially a bottle jack. His is a straight Frankenstein build.
Yeah.
Hey, those are the best, man. Flea Farm, though. I've never heard that. Flea Farm.
I haven't either. Tractor Supply.
Farm and Fleet?
Yeah.
Tractor Supply. I'd say it's like a Tractor Supply.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Don't buy the one at I mean, I guess you can, but the
Harbor Freight.
I went to go when I was looking at them. I went to go look at the Harbor Freight one. There's also Northern Tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same thing, but the whole like body of it, where the jack was, it just moved, and it's got to be level, and like that thing was just like you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I've seen people use the vacuum bags. I've never done it, but I've seen people do that. Right away, the first couple boards I had some super deep throat like pony Jorgensen clamps, and then I just put wood on it to hopefully distribute the pressing pressure as evenly as I could. It's fine, but if you're gonna do more than a couple at a time, like that's brutal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So you can give kind of a perspective from a hobbyist and a business owner for this one. So that being said, what kind of laser would you recommend for a first timer?
A laser? What kind of laser would I recommend?
Yeah.
He's-
As big as you
Jake,
can.
you gonna translate this?
For sure.
You're on
For
your own,
sure,
man.
I would not buy the what's that really expensive brand?
Glowforge.
Glowforge. There's like you can get literally twice the laser from like Omtech.
For the same price.
Yeah. Granted, like Glowforge's entire thing, it's kind of like X-Carve. You're paying for the ease of the system rather than the tool. Because even like the X-Carve CNC, that CNC is twice the price as it should be. The Elite Foreman is a better machine and half the price as their big X-Carve Pro, whatever the heck it is. For the first laser, I would, if you're as a hobbyist, I think you'd be fine with one of them like little X tools, just getting your feet wet and seeing if that's something you actually want to do. But man, I would save a few $1,000s. How much was your 80-watt Omtech? Like 4,000?
Yeah, I think so. Right somewhere around there. You bring in the chiller and everything, about like 4,500 total at that time.
I would. Even the fiber lasers, you got to spend at least $2,000 to get anything decent. But again, if you're just dabbling and trying to, mess around, then the X tools are fine until you get any sort of volume. Then you're really gonna realize you're in a world of hurt.
It's just like anything that you're gonna buy, especially you go down these rabbit holes that we do, and you're gonna get one. And I've had a lot of people ask me, and they're like, "Well, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, you're gonna like it because laser is super easy to design, I think, and it's so quick. It's it's not like you're having to. Well, I'm not gonna say spend hours like on a.
It's
on
way
a
easier than a CNC. Like there's not as much learning curve.
Right. And then your mind's just gonna go crazy bonkers. Whoa. Like I can do all this stuff, but now I can't because I'm limited to this. So a lot of them, when they ask me, I'm like, "What's your budget?" And I'm like, and if you're close to something, I'm like, you need to go look at these. And my suggestion to you is save up a little more and get you this machine because
that's
it's going to
the answer 90% of the time.
Yeah.
What is it? Buy your second one the first time?
Yeah.
Buy once, cry once.
Yeah.
Which is what we did with both of our lasers. Because like I was looking at like them smaller ones and like, man, like I just know as soon as I get that thing, I'm gonna be like, this is great, and I'm disappointed. Like I wish I would have bought the bigger one.
You buy it and you think you know what you want. You say, I want a roof over my head. I want 3 meals a day, and I want somebody to take care of me. Next thing you know, you're in prison, and that's not really what you wanted.
Meets the needs, though.
Yeah. It's just like anything. Some people, like even myself, back in the day, you're always going to you're going to be attracted to the big box stores, and you're going to start off with those type of tools. And there's nothing wrong with them. Not saying anything about that. But as you progress in this and you start doing a business and time is money, right? So you need to save time, and that's where you start investing in those little pricier pieces of equipment, and just helps the process.
Again, hobbyist or business.
Yeah.
Them are two separate, like that DeWalt 735 or whatever planer, that big DeWalt, that thing is great until you're pumping out tables every week and you're like, man, I blew mine up twice. Do we have to take that thing to get it fixed? Yeah. Then I finally got that big Laguna and like, wow, I should have bought this thing years ago.
That's a perfect segue into my question, because I'm in the market for a big planer. How do you like it?
I love it. So I would say the only downside, I actually told Blake, he's actually asking me too, because his concern was, he's like, the planer looks great, but it doesn't have the wings.
Right.
Which I could see being, I honestly had never had one with the big wings, so it's hard to like answer that, but I can see where them big wings would be nice. But it has all the features you can like tinker on this thing and get everything. I get a tiny bit of snipe, but I could, adjust all the stuff to not get snipe. And if I'm running, a majority of what I'm running through it is like 4 foot and under. And if I'm making the table or something big, I'd bust out my little Harbor Freight rolly stand things, and it's just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's
So
where
I
the
like
wings
it,
would probably help
but-
with the snipe, but if you're cutting your stuff at rough links, you always compensate in that, to be able to
Helical
cut that
head.
off.
I don't
Yeah.
care what brand you buy helical head and at least like a 3 horsepower motor. If
By
you're gonna run
God.
anything substantial through it.
Cool
But the
deal.
helical head's amazing. I have one on my joiner too, and game changer.
Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I just run straight knives, so I haven't been into that realm
It's
yet. And I'm
half as
thinking,
loud.
is it?
Dang
Because
dope
the
hillbilly
knives-
status there, Joey.
It's drastically quieter, I promise.
All right, guys, it's getting close to the end here, so I guess we're going to do a quick round of rapid fire. Jake, you start that off if you want.
Bring 'em.
Yeah. How long did it take to do the Lego man?
Actual print hours, I don't know, but about 4.5 days, and it was about 4.5 kilos. The 4 days and about 4.5 kilos of filament.
Man.
There you go.
So what's your best feature about the Foreman? The Elite
The
Foreman.
Masso. The Masso is, I don't want to say so much better because we've had the original Onefinity since it came out, but
The Journeyman, right? You had the Journeyman.
I had like the second one ever made because we met them at Workbench Con and they got us into, or like they convinced us to, like, they showed me the machine, like that's pretty cool and I've never seen anything like it. So we got one of the first like
The
beta machines, and then we got another beta machine for the Journeyman, and then now we have like the actual official machine. So for a while I was running like not crappy, but I was running
It
like
was like
the
3D printed parts.
like the part,
and-
half of it was like 3D printed, and like so we were running the tinkered one, and it was still way better than our X-Carb. So I was like sold. So the Masso is great. You don't need it. Same with the spindle. It's great. It's an excellent upgrade, but even if you're a hobbyist, the Makita router's fine. Once you start getting more serious, then spend some money. But just that base machine is plenty. It's just the bells. It's like a car. It'll get you to point A to point B, but man, them heated seats are nice in the winter.
Oh, definitely.
Auto start when it's cold outside. Yeah.
You Texans don't know.
Mhm.
Hey,
Like it's cold outside.
now.
It's
this is
Yeah.
North.
You had
This
the
is
snow
North.
last year.
North Texas.
He gets real cold.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I complain about when we
60
hit
degrees.
when we hit in the 60s, that's jacket weather, bud. I don't care. They make fun of me. I'm like, I look like that little fat boy on the Christmas Story. I can't even move.
Can't put my arms down.
Just can't do it. So, go ahead, Jamie.
All right. What is the best thing about working together?
I would
We don't.
There isn't.
that too. So
We have our separate jobs.
we
so
found that out real quick. Yeah, we like split all the duties, and like she has her thing, I have my thing. We keep most of our opinions to ourselves, unless it's like we're figuring something out. But that's a
just
big
trust
help.
The other will get it done.
And like one of the biggest things, I'd be like, we're both going through it. So like if I'm like mad about this customer like that, like she understands because she's here dealing with the same exact thing. So I'd say that's like the best part. And like there's just so much that goes into content and business and all that. It's just to split the workload is just, I don't know how some of those guys do it on their own.
And it's nice to just kind of be on the same schedule with
That too.
life
Yeah.
outside of.
Yeah.
Not that there's a lot of life outside of self-employed, but
Yeah.
for what little there is,
There's not.
Yeah.
There's
nice
not.
to be on the same schedule.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. So, where do y'all get y'all's inspiration from?
Other makers. Like, for instance, when I went to go learn the fiber laser, like, or cutting boards, that's a good example. I was like, hey, I want to learn this cutting board. I went and found the best guys that could do it. The other dude was in like Russia, MTM cutting boards or whatever.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not going to like get a hold of that guy. And then I got a hold of Nick and I was able to sweet talk him in to help me out. And then fiber lasers, I'm like, all right, I got to find the best dudes that are good at this. I need to learn from somebody. And then I went and found several dudes that were like doing full-time. They were fiber lasing golf clubs, like making custom golf irons and wedges and stuff. So I made friends with those guys and like teach me. You know, the key to like people are like, well, how do you do that? Because people reach out to someone and like they don't respond. But the key to getting help from people is doing your research and asking an educated question. Because if you come at me and be like, hey, how do I do an inlay cutting board? I'm probably
too
not going to
broad.
respond. But if you're like,
Yeah.
hey, how do I do X, Y, Z that's related to inlay cutting boards? I'm like, okay, do this, this, and this.
If you sound knowledgeable about the topic, you'll get better responses, I feel.
They have to say good morning first.
That too.
Boom.
Say
If they
hi.
go
That
straight
too.
into,
Say
they go
thank you.
straight into it.
Interact
I
with
just,
me a little bit
Yeah.
and then ask me a question. Don't
I
just
just
like
say,
come
they'll
out of
say
nowhere.
blah 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 blah. I need this, and I'll say good morning.
Yeah.
And
My
that's
name's
it.
Jeff. How are you?
Yeah. And then they either don't answer back or they say, "Oh, sorry, good morning," and then now we can have a conversation. But if it's just what can I do for them? No,
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately?
no, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, there's a little advice from Jake. They got to say
guys,
good morning.
Alexa,
Y'all
turn
having
off plants.
problems?
Time to go.
Y'all's burglar.
Oh, wait. Alexa, turn off plants.
Well,
This is turn on plants and it turns on some sexy music.
well, guys, thank y'all for taking the time and being on the show. We greatly appreciate it. And here's the time if you got anything coming up or you want to put something out. I got all y'all's information down in the description below. Everybody out in the chat, go follow these two. They do some amazing stuff. But go ahead, your time.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having us. It's a blast. I always love doing this kind of stuff. And what we got working on, go check out our YouTube. We just started a podcast, Self-Made Podcast. Check that out if you're interested in business kind of stuff. And we got a Patreon. If you want to find us, go on any social media. Just, hit the like button or comment or whatever. We appreciate any of that.
Two
Absolutely.
Moose
There we
Design
go.
everywhere.
So just Google Two Moose Design. We pop up on stuff.
Awesome.
There we go.
Awesome.
Here's Matthew.
Still working on organization of shop. Got most of it cleaned out. Getting ready to move my CNC over to a new table that I'm building and be videoing. And then got some dust collection stuff going on besides blowing chisels through 45s. So, yeah, that's what's going on.
Here you go. Jamie Pie.
I've been down to a company that is closing, so sorry to see the guys closing the shop, but good luck to them in their future endeavours. Down to people at Styles and Bates. Thank you for the cheap wood, though. It's greatly appreciated. I'll be getting into the shop, doing some more turning, and we've got cartoons on Saturday.
There you go.
There we go. Saturday morning cartoons on Saturday is going to be from the Civic Center. I'm going to be there selling raffle tickets. We've raised $11,281 for Make-A-Wish. Jamie's going to be the star of the show. Joey and Jen are going to be making fun of Jamie while he's turning, and me and Jackie are going to be selling tickets at there. So come and see us. And then the next week, we're going to have a lot of stuff from a bunch of companies to give away. So come and see us.
There you go. I myself am continuing on with this crazy renovation. I don't know what got in me to wanted to do this, but I will be going and doing some more drywall work here in a minute when we get done. Next week, we have the real Frank Does It. He's out at Workbench Con this week, but he'll be here next week, 7:30 Central Standard Time. Please remember, when you listen to us, please go and give us a review on
10.
Apple Podcasts, and I want 10 stars. 10. Can't
10
say the other
stars.
part of that because anyhow. But, yep, till next time, thank y'all again. Appreciate y'all coming on.
Stay on. Stay on.
Yeah,
Don't
stay on.
leave.
Don't leave because we got to let it upload. But everybody in the chat, we appreciate y'all hanging out. Go follow these two guys or guys and gals. Sorry, excuse me.
These
But
folks.
we'll see y'all next week. And we're out of here.